Yes, we're going to do it again. But even better, we're going to do it 2 times. So we're tonight, you all are getting the fresh version. Tomorrow's day-old grade. No, I'm just kidding. Lawanda's going to kick my ass because she's hosting tomorrow because I'm somewhere else. But no, it's really fantastic. So thank you all so much for coming out. Was anybody here last year that is here tonight? Oh, we got some returning. Okay, and has anybody never been in this venue before? Any first-timers at the Kennedy School? Oh, all right. So you didn't go to school here? No. Okay, so we are going to, I got so many papers here, I realized I brought too many. We got so much stuff going on. So just to give you a little layout of what's going to happen, we're going to have a fabulous panel discussion with my friends I'm about to bring out. And then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have half of a first show, and then a quick break and half of a second show. Doesn't that sound exciting? So some of the performers, some of the panelists are performers, some of the performers are panelists, and we have a lot of surprises for you. I gotta pull in my train because these girls try it. We were back there, I know we were holding for a little bit, and all that extra time you gave us back there, Shana, these girls tried it. They were all back there. We were almost in fights, but we weren't really in fights. Okay, please welcome to the panel. First and foremost, she gets the first choice of seats because she's very persnickety about everything in her life. Please welcome, visiting us from Las Vegas, Nevada, one of Portland's own, Lawanda Jackson. And a standing ovation. Not that you prompted it, but okay, you earned it. Oh, and she got assistance. She got a cocktail. I said, I like your Chanel suit. She said, it's Lanel. She got Lanel on with all them pearls and rhinestones. Lawanda, every time Lawanda walks into a room, people's lives change. Seriously, tears fall, people realize the blessings of life, and you bring that out to so many people. We were in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, last month. No, where were we? Palm Springs. Same thing, it was hot as hell and I wasn't happy. We were in Palm Springs and we did a wonderful thing, and there was a whole show of people, but you were the one that everybody remembered and everybody talked about. Still talking about. Lawanda Jackson. And now please welcome Isaiah Esquire, bringing you burlesque realness. Now the two of you, be here, don't be cutting up, the two of you. Thank you, Isaiah. We just both realized, well, we already knew this, but we let the people back there know, realize we're both from Parkhurst High School. Back, Parkhurst High School didn't have a lot of black families when I was there. And then, what's your name? Isaiah. He said, oh, I'm from Parkhurst. I said, you're the second most famous person from Parkhurst. Please welcome Kourtni Capree, Portland's own. Wait a minute, leopard print. How dare you? Oh my God, Kourtni, you are too much. We were all talking about we're going to bring our drinks out, and we're going to bring our paper napkins out, and I see you brought the cloth napkin. She thinks she's the mother of the church. You are not going to use that cloth napkin on your makeup face, or else Lawanda gonna have to pay for it. Please welcome Epiphany Valentine Dupont. Gorgeous. Okay, so we were all backstage and just having a good time, talking about what we were gonna do tonight and commiserating. We're all 5 different black people, but we're all the same black person. We're all different, but the same. And it's so nice to be here with each and every one of you. Thank you for giving up your time, your night. I mean, what is it, Thursday? What else are we gonna do, The Real Housewives? No, we're so glad you're here. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some things, and it's gonna be more of a conversation. Do y'all have your microphones there? So you're gonna share the microphones, and what's that? Oh, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of a bitter queen, and when people look better than me and have nicer things than me, I tend to forget them. No, I'm kidding. When I very first started coming up in drag, I had a lot of black drag queen inspirations who said, okay, let's go run the streets, let's go do this, let's go do that. And then I met Cicely, she said, you're gonna sit here next to me and shush. Because I was too wild. So please welcome to the stage last year's panelist who is going to oversee tonight. She's going to preside over tonight's festivities. Please welcome Cicely. Cicely, it's so good to see you. You look so gorgeous. Yes, you want to sit in that chair that they're. Well, excuse me, would somebody escort Cicely to the chair? I mean, she's practically a celebrity. Yes. Yeah, that way you can see everybody. So, Cicely was the highlight. There you are. Cicely was the highlight of last year's panel because she brought so much wisdom and grace to everything that we talked about. And we've asked Cicely back again this year. And when the panelists and I are having a discussion, and if Cicely thinks that there's something that was left unsaid or something that needs to be corrected, Cicely, you just hop up. We have a microphone for you. Oh, she got the fan. Okay, I'm so nervous. All right, panelists, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I'd like you to each introduce yourselves. Tell us how long you've been performing in drag and self-describe your drag aesthetic. And if you can, give us a little intro of how you've gotten into drag. I know that's a lot in a short amount of time, but I have a feeling you're all going to be just fine doing that. Let's start with Lawanda because she talks a lot. She can tell a long story.
Okay. I thought it was one of those Walmart mics. Okay, we good?
No, it's not Walmart.
Can you guys hear me in the back? Make some noise if you can hear me in the back. So, I am 47 years strong in the business. In 1977, I started my career at Darcel's. With Darcel. I'm the first person to march for the first gay pride parade with Darcel back in 1977. I went to Jefferson High School, 2 years at the University of Oregon. I moved to Houston, Texas, where I got into my pageant career. I'm a former Miss Texas, a former Miss Oregon, a former Miss USA, and Miss USA Classic. In 2001, I discovered that I was HIV positive. Ain't nothing I could do about it but live through it and make a life out of it. And I did. My family sent to the right. And I want to just send a shout out to my mom and my sister and my niece. I couldn't have made it this far without you all. Okay, sit down. This is not open window. Sit down. And after I discovered I was HIV positive, moved forward, I joined the evening at La Cage in Las Vegas, traveled the world, been around, I had 4 passports, been around the world. Busy. 2014, I was brushing my teeth at a gay pride event in Houston, Texas. I woke up in a light flight helicopter. I had suffered a brain aneurysm on my right side and a stroke on my left side. The doctors told me that I would never walk or talk again, let alone perform. But there's only one doctor that watches over me. It's my grandmother and God. I didn't know what my new voice was going to be. I didn't know what my new body was going to be. I didn't know my new normal. But as I started traveling, I knew that I had to do it with mental illness not being seen and physical disabilities not being seen. You all need to see someone who looks fabulous with a disability. Thank you. And I'm not ashamed of it. When they came to me and asked me to be part of this, because I'm an Oregonian by heart, I was really honored and moved, and to be in the presence of Cicely and to be at Darcel's service, all the greats. I'm so blessed that I was blessed by all the greats. And I thank them for giving me strength to endure and to become the person that I am with all my flaws. They saw me all the way to the end of my line. And if I leave tomorrow, you guys listen, we're going out with a bang, and I thank you for your support, and thank you for you guys for having me.
Can't exactly follow that. No, fine, no pressure. Sorry. So my name is Isaiah. Isaiah Esquire is my stage name. It's hard to say exactly when I started performing in drag. Not all of what I do falls under that umbrella for me, but I've been taking up space and putting queer art and queer expression forward since I was a nice little youngin'. And so that makes it, let's see, I've been performing burlesque and such for 15 years. I'm a dance teacher, and so I've been performing and bringing dance into the world for 23 3 years I've been teaching. So that's kind of what all brought me to being able to take up space in that. So I dance, I entertain, makeup, and movement is a part of that expression, and my queer self and all of myself is always forward in all of what I'm presenting in the world. And I don't remember all else what I was supposed to say in this moment, because I know that there's questions coming up later. I only have one passport, but I do have a couple decent stamps in it. And I feel like I might be able to talk about that later, depending on the next question.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. Up next, here's Miss Kourtni Capree. Thank you. I am Kourtni Capree, Lady DUV, the baddest butch queen in drag MC. I have been a female impersonator for 25 years. I'm celebrating 25 years today. I became a queen because I attempted suicide 25 years ago. And a Mexican prostitute, who was my then friend, suggested that I become a different person. She told me to become the person that I wrote in my diary at 12 years old. And that led me to express my drag and my trans experience through drag. It afforded me a lot of things. I didn't know that drag could take me to a lot of different places. And that queen got me to Embers Avenue, and they were checking for me from Embers Avenue, and she also got me into Darcel 15, and I became a Darcel 15 girl twice. Once in 2001, and then I went on like a hiatus and got myself together because I felt like you cannot do drag, or you should not do drag, if you don't know yourself. If you don't know who you are, it's going to show on stage. And after I did that, I came back to Portland after finding my father, and that was around 2010, and there was a thing called Portland's Drag Race. Poison was the hostess of that, and I won. And it was because of, thank you. It was because my daughter at the time, Alexis Campbell Star, she was Alexis Capree Dove at the time, she encouraged me to come back out and show who I am. And I'm so grateful for all of my house children because they supported me. If it was not for my house children, I don't think I would be able to carry myself the way I carry myself. It gave me a responsibility. It gave me a lot of hope, encouragement. Oh my God, to be an old broad like me. I am 45, so I'm old. And don't take offense if you guys are 45, but I feel old because my body be aching, so I don't know about you. But I do this because when I came onto the scene, there was a guy named Steven Herrera. And Steven Herrera is the one who, I don't want to say he created Black Pride, Black Gay Pride, but in the beginning there was a place called Brother to Brother, and I volunteered for them for 2 years. And then I got hired. And the thing that he told me was, Kourtni, you have a voice. People listen to you. While they are listening to you, have something to say. And that was the first time someone ever said that they believed in me or that they even cared about my story. I was not created in Portland, Oregon. I came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia while I was in college. And that was a lot for me. And so I just thought I should bring home the culture that was not here, because being surrounded by a lot of white people got on my motherfucking nerves. So I wanted to show what we can do. So I saw people like Stasha Sanchez, Nicole Love Dupree, Naisha Dupree, Sophia McIntosh, Raquel Lord, and Jasmine Bonet. And it just so happened that Lawanda knew those people. The person who got me started, the prostitute or something else, she knew those people. So when I traveled, I got to bring all of that experience right back here. So I don't know what was the question, but I hope I answered it. You did good, girl, you did good. And let's hear from the fabulous Epiphany.
Hi, I'm Epiphany Valentine Dupont. I'm from Vancouver, Washington. I moved there from Brooklyn, New York when I was young. I started doing drag About 11 years ago, joined the, if some of you have heard of the Court System, which is a queer nonprofit organization that centers drag as a means to raise funds for charity. So I started out there in the chapter in Vancouver, doing titles. I was Vancouver Gay Pride, went on to be Princess, and then I just stepped on as Empress of that chapter last year. I was only the second Black Empress of that organization of almost 50 years. And I started doing drag because I had just come out as queer right before, about 12 years ago. And I started doing drag to find my queer identity and to find community, and just because of the love of the art itself. And it really taught me a lot about, like Kourtni said, who I am, and helped me really develop my identity as who I am now, as I say, my second life. Because not walking in my truth, growing up in the church, and with a lot of that influence of not feeling safe to be who you are, it cut off me finding out who I was until I was an adult. So drag really helped me find that, and it helped me find family and friends that I grew with and that are still in my life today. And it brought me to meeting these people on stage who've taught me so much. Kourtni, Pre-Dove, Poison Waters, Isaiah, Lawanda taught me so much about our history in the queer community, in the queer society, and where we've come from to where we are now. And I'm just blessed to be here. I'm probably rambling, but I'm just so honored and blessed to be here among all these people who have contributed so much to that walk. And without y'all, I wouldn't even be here. So I'm just thankful to be here. I don't know what that was the question. But
Well, we are so thankful you're with us. Thank you so much, Epiphany. All four of you are just inspiring, and that's what I love, that each of you had a different voice about how to answer that question. And today is about just love and laughter and inspiration. And then we sincerely hope that folks will leave here tonight knowing a little bit more about us and the Black drag culture. And a little bit later, I don't know if I said that, we're gonna have a Q&A section after this panel discussion. So think about things that you wanna go back to if somebody said. Or Isaiah, you got a question in the Q&A already?
Yes. Sorry, so since we were talking about voices, I sometimes struggle to really sit into mine. I'm kind of more quiet and introverted by nature, and because of the level of respect I have for everybody up here, that I sometimes make myself smaller. And so with that, I didn't talk about any of the titles in which I have won. So I forgot. So I'm Mr. Gay Pride 2009, Mr. Northwest Fierce. I was the first Mr. Northwest Fierce. I was the first and the only Mr. Gay Oregon, United States. And I'm one of the, and then 3 years running, I was, 3 years in a row, I was in the top 50 most influential burlesque performers in the world.
Isaiah, I'm not here to tell anybody how to be, but darling, never be small for anybody. And certainly in this crowd, you gotta speak up. And I remember when you got that, the top burlesque, that was amazing. And it's such a feather in the cap of the City of Roses in Portland, so we're so proud of you and thank you. And all of you, if you want to chime in at any point, this is not, you can talk, say what you want to say.
Okay, well, good, so I'm so sorry.
Oh, here she goes.
Yes, since we talk about awards, titles and things. The first Black Northwest Fierce, Mr. Northwest Fierce. I am the second Miss Northwest Fierce. I am the second Miss Sweetheart of Portland. I am La Femme Magnifique Tacoma 2003. I am also La Femme Magnifique 2012, as well as International 2012. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, we appreciate that. And I just want to give some flowers to Lawanda. She talked about her Miss Gay US of A titles. They call it Miss Gay US of A, Miss Gay US of A Plus for the plus size girls, and Miss Gay US of A Classique for the older girls. So Lawanda ran and won, Miss Gay Use of A Classique 2009. Well, then that was enough for her. She went back for Miss Gay Use of A, period, and won in 2012. Lawanda. I know my history, and that is, you showed those girls. You're the first to ever do that, aren't you? To go from classic to, she turned back the hands of time, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna get into this conversation, everybody. We are here, this event is honoring both Pride and Juneteenth. And so thank you again for coming out. We all know that trans women and drag queens of color started the Stonewall protests and riots. How do you feel that the Stonewall riots and the movement has impacted you personally? Yeah, there's no order. Hop on in.
As a black trans, non-binary trans person, I am honored because if you didn't catch when I said I am the baddest butch queen in drag MC, back in the day there was no non-binary. There was no, you had to be either a woman or a man when you were in your transitioning. And for the girls who could, I was about to say it was a sin, but it was illegal in California and a lot of other states to put on women's clothing. Aren't we getting back to that now? Okay, isn't that crazy? So just to be able to live out my truth when I didn't know before, oh, it's like freedom. It is overwhelmingly, indescribable. I think a lot of people a lot of non-black people fail to realize who really threw that rock in that window and who started this whole game. And we don't get enough props. And people don't understand that black trans women are being murdered, like slaughtered for no reason. I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy to be a part of my community as a trans person because there's so many of us. We come in so many different forms. And it's a good thing. We fine, we fresh, we sick now.
I've had the honor of being able to perform at Stonewall in New York, and that was, I don't know, it's such an incredible thing to be able to be in this space. And I was part of a troupe. It was called Caravan of Glam at the time, and we were a queer cabaret that went to all conservative America. So we would go to different parts of Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Alaska, etc. We were on America's Got Talent 8 years ago. And so part of that was going into hostile situations and trying to get to the heart of someone, and we would use entertainment for that. And sometimes I was the first black person that someone was talking to on purpose. They were meeting their first trans woman often, and so being able to see how disrupting someone's normal incites so much beautiful change in the world that it feels like just living this in the skin and being visible is a protest. And so part of my activism has become being vulnerable, being visible, and that's what gets me out of my more introverted self, because someone needs to see someone like me, either because I'm like them or because I'm a contrast to them, and it stretches them in some way, shape, or form. And so when you're thinking of protest, when you're seeing parades, when you're seeing festivals, anytime that we are gathering and we're saying that we are here and that we can feel joy and that we just that we're human and that we're here, I think moves everything a little bit forward, and you have to disrupt that. It's not always pretty, it's not always just rainbows and sunshine and glitter. It's not just about putting on that sexy outfit because you want someone to see you. It's about something different than that, and you can disrupt in the streets, but you also do that by how you vote. You do that by how you are like in your workplace and at schools. That all kind of ties in for me when I think about Stonewall and that first protest to kind of kick everything off.
And so I was there early on, right after that had happened. Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, they were just the beginning of it. And even though it was difficult, someone had to sacrifice to get to where we are now. But listen, you all, your new Stonewall is yet to come. So you all better buckle up, because let me tell you what's happening. We didn't have the internet back then. Now we do. So now it's tripled and doubled the hate. So you all have got to be true to who you are moving forward. You got to stay wherever your feet are, you need to be. And if you look back wondering what's behind you, you should not look forward. Never look back. Looking back is always reminding us of what we used to have. But looking forward is reminding you of what you could become. So as difficult as Stonewall was to live through in the AIDS epidemic, we had to do it and it had to happen. But the worst is really yet to come. And I can't believe, Poison, I lived through all that and still moving forward. So you guys just buckle up and thank you for the question, Poison.
Yes, thank you, Lawanda. And actually, they always say the pendulum swings both ways. And it's swinging right now. And just like Kourtni said, just thinking back when it was illegal to be in drag. Well, literally in states in our country, it's illegal to do drag. So it's swinging back again. So I agree with Lawanda as much as it pains me to say so. Things are gonna get a little rocky before they get better. And the only way to get through it is together and supportive. And we're talking about drag lives and trans lives and the LGBTQ community. You don't have to, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because you're all here, so obviously but here's how you can be allies, is tell the community. You don't have to agree with it. You don't 100% have to understand it, but you don't have to criminalize it and demonize it just because it's not for you right now, right? Asking questions, having conversations respectfully, really asking, what is this? What are you into? What are you doing? That's how you get to know what's really going on. And that's the only way we're gonna get through this next hurdle that I can't even imagine what's coming. It ain't good. It ain't good.
So as part of that group that was going around to all of these red states, the only time, the most hate that we got actually happened in Oregon. We had a queer person actually, a queer woman of a certain age that wanted to boycott the show and was preaching all this hate was going to come and stand outside with signs and tell everybody of why they shouldn't be coming to this show. And that's still performing in Lewiston, Idaho, and some other places that we have literally people in trucks with guns in the back. That's what was still happening 8 years ago. That is within my time of me seeing it and physically being there. What's happening now is that more people are knowing, it's more visible, some of what has been steadily there the entire time. I say that, and not to make anyone feel, not to feel more bleak. For me, it makes me feel more hopeful, because it's not necessarily everything getting worse, it's more things coming to light. And so that we can still continue, we existed throughout all of that, we're existing now, and so that we can still keep moving things forward, we just have to be active and do the work. Don't back down, but don't just give up because everything is being hard and it's dark. There's still more, it's always been that way, but we've still always existed.
I wanted to add also that the fact that the movement was started with a protest, for me, it has always felt like a positive burden to, if I'm going to take up space in the queer community, I have to put that foot forward. It feels like a duty almost. If you're going to step in any queer capacity as far as entertainment, or if you're going to speak at any type of event or anything, you have to be willing to do that hard work, like you said, and be that protest. And for myself, I take that very personally, and I try to, in anything that I do, even as Empress, try to move that forward as in any way that I can, because if I'm gonna take up the space, it's my duty to do that. I think that we should all have a sense of duty to protest every time we get up and speak on behalf of the queer community, or any type of space we're gonna take up. We have to be willing to speak for those people that we're taking up that space in. And so for me, Stonewall, just the memory of that being a protest is a push forward that I think we should all hold on to. So.
I just want to add this little piece. I don't know if it just came to me. I mean, I was thinking about it before I got here and how I was going to incorporate this, but if you remember, I said that I attempted suicide 25 years ago. If I was to have succeeded with that, I would not be a father today. And it bothers me because my cousin was murdered 2.5 years ago. And I just asked myself, where would this baby be if I would have did what I wanted to do? And I read to my daughter every night before she goes to bed, and just to see the stuff that's going on the internet and all these other places. Why are you gonna ban me from reading to my own child? Why is it a problem? Just because I put on lip rouge, blush, eyelashes. I'm educating a young child to be better than me, to be themselves. So for those who are out there who have a problem with it, remember that there are children out there who have relatives who want to educate them, who want to love them, who want to protect them. We are not what they say we are. I'm a Black trans person who loves children and will protect them at any cost.
Thank you, Kourtni. You know, there's been a lot said right now in the community about anti-drag queen story times and anti-all ages drag events. And recently in a news interview, I said, we're giving the spotlight to the wrong adults. The adults that are saying no, 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 say that. But why do you get the spotlight in the news channel? What about the parents that are choosing to parent, in my opinion, correctly, to introduce their children to other ways of life? That not everybody is white and straight and rich. The stories that the drag queens are telling are about acceptance, about diversity, about the differences in our world. And I said, why are we not listening to these parents? They're being shut down. They're the ones that are saying, we want this. Drag queens ain't just sitting around talking to the wind, right? The parents said, we want to educate our children. Please help us do that. We don't have the words. We don't have the vocabulary. We don't know how to tell our children about these other ways of life. So you do it because you know how to do it. And so that's what we do. But all the news wants to talk about is the haters saying, we out there trying to steal the babies. I'm not trying to steal no child. I don't even want the 2 cats I have, okay? Let alone. So no, we're just trying to do our thing. So thank you, Kourtni, for bringing that up. I want to ask you all, because we all of us have done drag in different ways, in different places around the country. What obstacles do you, as Black drag performers, personally have encountered?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you've been around the world, child.
We can't follow her, so you know she should go last. You know we should learn the rhythm. You know she had to go last.
No, go ahead.
I don't fit. I don't really fit in anywhere, and that caused a lot of strife for me for a period of time, and it's something I've learned to embrace. When it comes to coming into drag spaces, I remember performing when I was just dancing and I would just be like no makeup or like a glitter lip and sunglasses, and people saying like, why are you doing half drag, and this person shouldn't be in the show, and called me lazy and all of those things, and so I wasn't accepted within drag spaces. I'm a burlesque performer. That's most of the spaces in which I spend my time in, but I didn't fit within the burlesque spaces either because of how my expression came out on stage. And every title that I mentioned, when I ran for the Mister, they said, well, are you sure you should run for that? Because, for when I won Mr. Gay Pride, they said that for the Pride title, you couldn't wear makeup and I couldn't wear heels as long as I reigned. I challenged that, and so I did. And then for Mr. Thank you. For Mr. Northwest Fierce, it was the same thing. It was a big issue that people said that I should be running for the drag title and not the Mr. title, and everyone challenged that. I won that pageant anyways. And then from there for Mr. Gay Oregon, United States, it was the first kind of, we don't get the main pageants through here, so they were testing it out. It was the first time that they were coming through. And for my runaway I was going to wear heels, and they said, well, you can't do that for this category. The men are supposed to wear blazers, and I said, well, that's not what I'm going to wear. And then for that, we all ran unopposed. But between the trans title and the drag title and the Mr. title, I got the highest score of all of people throughout the night. And so then they again let me do whatever the hell I wanted. And then for the Caribbean Burlesque Festival 2014 ran, it was me and 14 cis women, and they didn't expect a male-identified person to win that title, but I won, so I won Queen of the Island for the Caribbean Burlesque Festival. And so the reason why I'm telling those stories is because of all of those is in a space that wasn't already fit for me, and that's okay because they're all more diverse now that I've been there. And I'm able to stand on the shoulders again of other people that are willing to do the work and but are blessed enough and work hard enough to be talented enough for people to listen. Because what we've learned is that our art is our currency. Being able to entertain people, make them feel something, is why people listen to us sometimes, and being able to use that well. And so for me, I don't fit into any of those spaces, and I'm blacker than some people realize. And I say that to say, a friend of mine was talking that sometimes that when they're coming, that they bring their blackness into the room, but I always bring my blackness to the table. And when they said that, I was like, wait a minute, and I was like, wait, well, I guess, well, all these acts, R&D, Black Forward, and this is Black Empowerment, and this African thing, and I was like, oh, so you mean it's just with me all the time. I'm always fully present as I'm Black as hell within this space. And so, of not fitting when it comes to gender and to performance and to how Black people are supposed to be seen in spaces, or something that I like to stretch often. When you put on glitter, some people don't listen to you as well. And so I love being in the board meetings and talking to the commissioners and governors and such, and putting on this lovely face and making that kind of stretch people for what they think of gender, what they think of drag, and what they think of me. So I'm comfortable not fitting in all of the spaces, and I get a chance to do that internationally, as well as being able to how this is the first time of what drag can look like, if that is how I'm identifying in that moment. Every time a queer person puts on makeup, it's not necessarily drag. And sometimes us trying to be respectful, we have to ask a few more questions. So I spend a lot of my time answering a lot of questions and leading people to ask new ones. That's been the majority of my experience within drag spaces, is not fitting, but stretching it and being allotted space because of my talent.
The challenges that I faced in the beginning were when I came to Embers, the person that who got me into Embers and North Sales, I was just following them, and I was an escort. I was a prostitute. People didn't like prostitutes coming to their shows performing because you would bring in the tricks. And Embers was known for having a lot of tricks. And a lot of drag queens and transgender people, a lot of drag queens don't like to perform sexual acts. But I did. And so when I came to Embers, there was a lot of people frowning upon that. And especially back in the day, we didn't wear tights because we thought that was very fishy and cunt and very puss. And what I mean by that is, back in the day, you wanted to be very feminine as possible, very natural as possible as a biological woman. And at that time, as an entertainer, women didn't wear tights, so we wanted to give that illusion. So I got a lot of pushback for that, and the people who I hung around who were not technically drag queens. That was one situation. The other situation was, my mentor at that time told me so many things that were not good, like you don't want to be a charity queen, and a charity queen is those who raise money for nonprofit organizations. I ended up becoming a charity queen, and I'm so glad that I did, because I learned that nonprofits can and do have money for the queens to perform. And so So I learned early on, working at a nonprofit, that when you give, it will be given back to you. That was the number one thing that I learned, and to damn what anybody says. And to remember that there is a difference between transgender people and drag queens. We are not the same. There's a difference.
Thank you so much. That is great. This is kind of a little of a left turn, but on the same thing. Most people, most of us know about how drag came through, more popular through RuPaul's Drag Race, the drag and ball culture and trends through Paris is Burning or Pose. I'm gonna ask you what is your personal opinion on how accurate are these representations for the Portland drag scene? I know, Lawanda, we want to hear from you for the Portland drag scene when you were, doing your thing before you left to be a star in other places. But we want to hear about the Portland drag scene from all of your own perspectives. How do you feel that what we see on television in the movies, does that relate to what we have here in the City of Roses, or is it not?
Well, that's really my umbrella, because I've been exposed to television, and I know the benefits of television, but I also know the dark side of television. It looks fabulous, but it's not what it's knocked out to be. But in Portland, I think what Drag Race and all the television has exposed the girls to is that there's other people like them that they can see. Because when I was coming up, it was Flip Wilson, Geraldine, it was those people. But RuPaul was giving the younger girls a sense of purpose and something to kind of guide themselves by, even though they may not ever make it to that arena, but they have something to look forward to, for me. And when I travel around and say, Lawanda, how do I look? I said, well, you look like Trixie Mattel, you look like Coco Montrese. They have somebody they can emulate. And boys, in our time, we were all they had. Cicely, we were all they had as far as of color. So we had to stand with pride. We had to stand with resilientness. We had to stand with purpose, because the white queens was looking at us harder than the black queens. And look at where we are now. Even though we may not be on Drag Race, we still matter. So to me, Drag Race and television matters. It depends on how you digest it when you watch it.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And I'm going to say, we talked about this at another panel earlier this week, is that I had seen drag queens for a couple of years when I first came out, and I didn't get it. I was like, well, that's weird. I didn't understand. And then finally, one day, they opened the curtain, and there was 4 black drag queens: Lady Lane Peacock, Misty Waters, Rosie Waters, and Cerisa 14 of all of Alaska. That was the first time I saw a black drag queen. And they were in glitz and pearls and rhinestones, and they were all dressed in white, and they did Dream Girls and this whole thing, and that's when the light bulb hit. I'm like, oh, drag is for me, because I finally saw me on there. And that's what you're saying, is we only had each other to emulate. Like, I always, forever, people always said, Poison, there's already a Cicely, quit trying to be Cicely. And I was trying to look like Cicely, but every time I opened my mouth, they said, you're not Cicely. And then I would try to be Lady Lane Peacock and try to be Misty Waters and Rosie. They said, they're already there. You have to be your own person. So sorry, we took that around the corner. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of black folks back then. We had to do our own thing, and we certainly didn't have cable TV or the internet. So what do you all think about that? The representation of how Portland compares to what we see on television and movies?
For me, being that we had a Portland drag race here after the second RuPaul's Drag Race.
2009.
Did I win into? No, you're right. You shut your mouth.
Sorry.
You knows the history. Many of the girls who are on Drag Race embodied or emulated the girls who I looked up to, which were trans girls, but they did drag. I feel that drag has evolved so much to where you just can't come out and know just mediocre camp drag. No diss to camp drag, even though I don't feel camp drag, but that's not my cup of tea. I'm a classic drag queen, so I like to give, regal. Like Poison said, she wanted to be like Miss Cicely. I told Darcel I wanted to be like Cicely, and she said, no, you do not. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, I hired you because of your aesthetic, what you bring to the table. And I also auditioned for RuPaul's Drag Race. So I knew I had something that they did not want. And being that I won the drag race here, I didn't care and try to audition for it anymore. I had to be content and comfortable with what I was rocking right here in Portland.
Yeah, so the Portland drag scene for me, I went to my, I was going to Club Z, so I'm 37 for you know, age and stuff, because the club changed names over time, but it was Club Z at the time, and I remember going and I saw drag and I did not like it. I was not moved, it did nothing for me, but that was also a lot of internalized homophobia, and like in myself, it was something about it that just didn't make sense to me. I also thought that I was trans for most of my adolescence, and so I knew trans women and trans men and et cetera, and something about drag in certain spaces made me uncomfortable, and then I saw good drag. And then everything changed. I remember getting a chance to see Anastasia, and she turned the party, and I remember just watching the whole room move when she was there, and she was not some dainty little person, but the way that she moved, everybody could feel that, and then you were seeing exactly how she wanted to be seen, and that is a power that I feel really sad for anybody that doesn't get a chance to experience. And so it was really, really powerful, and so I fell in love instantly then, and I watched it. I didn't put on makeup. That's again why I said that me performing and being in queer space versus me doing drag and lip sync and being a part of my art came much later. I was doing burlesque for another 7 years before I was like, ooh, let me lip sync this song too. But I remember watching everybody up here and coming to Peacock in the Park when I was 15. And this one also met you, 2009, fell in love. I still have the very first photo that you signed for me. I still have that. And the influence from like Kourtni, I remember trying to do Rocksteady. And after watching Kourtni perform one time, there's all these little mannerisms that she does, and it just rubs off on everybody else, and you could see every queen who had watched this person perform because they would do the exact same thing. And I remember watching Cicely and crying literally every time I saw you perform. I would just cry because of your elegance and class. And that was not what I was seeing on Drag Race. I think that it highlights certain kinds of drag, and it highlights certain kinds of people, and I think that that's really, really beautiful. I still don't fit in that space, so when people are like, hey, you should try out for Drag Race, I'm nothing of what they want. But I do get a chance to perform with a lot of the girls once they win, so that's fun. And I got to perform at Latrice Royale's reception. So we got a chance to perform at her wedding, so I guess it's fine if they won't allow me on the show. But yeah, I think like all those shows like are great. I think that it doesn't show some of the community that Portland has, and like a show like Pose has a kind of family unit that we didn't have a ton here because of just the amount of us, I think, and how comfortable we are having fellowship and community together.
And those are reality shows. This is the real reality right here. Us.
Before we move on, I have to tell Isaiah, thank you for that. I love you. You know I love you. We talk on the phone and tell each other we love each other all the time. But let me tell you about Isaiah. I remember when he came with Half Drag, and I watched him evolve, and then Burlesque came, and he gave an avenue for me to come along and show my classic drag or whatever I was bringing to the table. You know, see, he did say a lot of girls mimic me, and I remember we was on the dance floor, and I saw him perform, and I was like, oh, I will never battle you again, ever. And I still stand to that, because you bring something to the table. They may not want it, but they can't take it, they don't got it. Well,
all right, thank you all so much. So with that, we're now going to open it up to a brief Q&A. So if anybody in the audience has something that they would like to ask, if you want to ask anybody to kind of a little more in-depth and detail about something they've already said, or if there's something that we didn't cover that you have a question on, and you can ask a specific person, or you can ask the whole panel, whoever you'd like to ask. And I already see a hand straight up in the back. Go ahead, we're a small group, you can holler it out.
So you mentioned, I think Kourtni, you mentioned that you were also non-binary. And so how do you separate those two identities, you being a black queen and you being non-binary? Do you feel that in your daily life, you being a black queen makes you more non-binary life, even though you might feel like you're either a woman or a man? Like I'm genderqueer, and I don't feel like either. But I can't in my head imagine how you must feel, because in my head that would be turmoil, being a drag queen. So could you please talk a little bit more about that?
Good question, and thank you. And I don't know if I'm going to answer it right. I'm just going to try to answer the best of my ability. First and foremost, I do not represent the trans community. I only speak for myself. My experience, how do I separate the two? It was very hard in the beginning. And because I have a child now, and I struggle with how to tell that child, or even some of my relatives about the same question that you asked, I just stay true to me on the inside. And I know that I am not necessarily all man. And I don't believe that I could never be a woman, ever, never. That's just how I feel. But I'm in between, and that's why I go by the baddest butch queen in drag MC, because that incorporates both. I've had girlfriends, and I've had boyfriends, and when all this comes off, they get to see the me. Even though this is me, they get to see the inner core of me, and they will see my feminine side, and they will also see my masculinity side. And it just all comes, so I've learned to embrace both sides. Drag, like RuPaul says, it's just garments, it's just regalia. It's just, you wanna be extravagant, fabulous, you know, costume tees. Trans, for me, is all about your gender, so it's not the same as the drag side. You can emulate and give an illusion of anything. That's what drag is, an illusion. And I try to give different illusions based upon how I'm feeling or whatever. But I'm still trans because I don't say I'm a man, I'm a woman. Like you said, you feel both. So I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question? Oh, yeah, a follow-up. Oh, okay, right here. I didn't mean to point, I'm so sorry.
Stand up and speak. Stand up and speak up.
No, go ahead. You're up. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you all so much for sharing your experience and your insights. I'm wondering if any of you all can share an experience of learning about queerness or about drag outside of America, and how that changed your own perspective on queerness and drag.
In a lot of, this is a layered one. When we're talking about culture and how a lot of folks view Americans and some of our entitlement, even the disenfranchised of us, like there's a certain kind of entitlement that Americans are known for, that a lot of other communities, like in countries, don't lean into as much. And so a lot of drag in some other countries leans a lot more towards comedy. It's more comfortable to kind of have like a shtick and not take yourself too serious. It's kind of like bad etiquette to take yourself like in a really serious, glamorous, big way. And that's been my experience in Finland, Australia, and a couple other places that are kind of like that. Yeah, so we have a comfortability of taking up more space, even the more insecure ones of us, in a way that some other cultures like don't have, and that's something that I feel like we could explore. It's not a bad thing, it's just something to kind of acknowledge, I guess, that we have. I hope that made sense, sorry.
Thank you, Isaiah. And I saw a hand back there, yeah, against the window, there you are.
Hello, queens.
Hey.
As a mom, I always try to make sure I teach her to say, and use the right terms and verbiage and ask her
Let me tell you how this is gonna go. What's your daughter's name? Emerson, come here. Come here. Emerson, come here. Come here. Come here. I can't run till you had a stroke. Come on now. We'll be here all day. Come on, Emerson. Come on up here with your pretty self. Come stand by me. So, tell everybody how old you are. How old are you?
6.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Well, you're very beautiful. Is she not beautiful? So being an uncle, let me tell you about being an uncle and being a world-renowned drag queen. It's not easy. So there was times when I thought I needed to tiptoe around my nieces and nephews, but then my mom and my grandmother said, just be who you are. So early on, I let them try on not my nephews, but my nieces. I let them try on my wigs, my clothes, my lipstick, and now they're all grown. And my nieces and nephews to this day, they say, Uncle Wendell, I could be just like this, walking through the door. I'm still their uncle. And what I'm grateful for is that my nieces and my nephew and my mom allowed me to be myself around them, because in their lifetime, there are going to be lots of me's running around them. And my little nephew, Cash, he is a hellion. My little nephew he is like the dude. But he said, Uncle Wendell, I have a friend that wears black nail polish. I said, well, Cash, so what do you do? He said, I'm there to protect him. You guys, I'm serious. And for you, young lady, because we're all up here, you get to see us, now you get to tell your friends about us. And tell them when they see people like us, don't judge them. Get to know them. You promise? Hold on, you're missing something. Say, Lawanda, you look fabulous.
Okay.
I like that. Emerson, that's right, Emerson. Don't let them put words in your mouth, Emerson. She said, Emerson, you need to give a little kick, though, going, okay. You know, also though too, that was fabulous, and also too, kind of what the mother was asking specifically is that, and people ask me all the time, and I think I've all heard it, because parents really want to parent correctly. They want to help their children navigate through the world that we're all in today, and they may not have the language for it. They may not have how it's supposed to be, and so my answer always is to all the children: if you ask respectfully, you can't go wrong. You know, if you want to say, oh, is that person in the grocery store, is that person in drag? Or is that person, you go up and say, hi, my name's Emerson, what is your name? And they will tell you their name, and that will be your clue. And you'll be like, oh, hi, Mary, or hi, Bob. You know, if you just ask respectfully, you're not judging. And this goes for adults too. Adults can learn a lot from children. I think we already know that. So when you're in the grocery store, or you're in the drive-thru at the gas station, and you're like, oh, I don't know what this person's, what their deal is. Introduce yourself first. Pretend you're in the 2nd grade on the first day of school. Hi, I'm Poison, what's your name? And that's how you get going. So be respectful, and you can't go wrong. Because they will forgive you if you misspeak. You know, pronouns we all trip over them. Even us, we all trip over. If you're respectful and you understand, you're open, that's how it goes. Yeah. Was there another hand up? Right here in the front row with that beautiful hat and top and glasses.
God bless you. My name is Pastor Renee Ward, and I want to be in front. I love you. I ain't seen you in a long time, and I love you. We used to dance together. You don't remember me.
We used to dance together.
Calvin Mason,
Oh,
Renee Blakely.
we're talking about 1976, you guys.
Anyway, that's not what I wanted to say. It's good to see all of you. I'm here because I'm straight. I'm from the faith community, and if I could carry something back, what would you want to tell? I'm here to speak and to represent the faith community. What would you like them to know about your beautiful world and the misunderstandings that they have? Because I go to a very conservative church, and I see the fear, and I see the misunderstandings, and particularly in the identifying, flipping over pronouns and what have you. But I don't think there's a chance where there's actually a conversation. I thank you for this platform, Donna Maxey and her daughter, but realistically, we're tippy-toeing around. So I'm here to stand boldly and say, I'm straight in this room. But I also had a husband who lived a double life. And if you Google me, you'll see me in the newspaper as the first person in the faith community to fight for HIV and AIDS. So I'm here, but as a faith person, because we all have faith. And you know me.
I do know you, Miss Ward, and I appreciate you. And I remember you telling your story at our church at the time. She was a member, and I am still a member at Allen Temple CME Church. And it was a lot of gays at our church. People don't know that the black community the black GLBT community was the black church, and probably still is, especially in the Kojic, but we're not gonna go there. What I would tell the people today, if I was to go back to my church heavily like that, and what I would offer you to tell them, everybody got a soul.
Amen.
And you don't know someone's relationship with Christ. Treat them as you would treat yourself. Isn't the Bible tell us to love our neighbor as we would want to love ourselves, or whatever the scripture, don't give me the quote up in there. But I know the word, I'm a church gal, boy, whatever you want to call it. Let them know that they got a soul too. And it don't hurt nobody just to reach out to someone who is of that lifestyle. Didn't David have somebody in the wilderness with him? Was it Nathan? I don't know, I don't want to get there. But just tell them that, okay?
That question makes me more emotional than I was expecting. So I'm Isaiah Levi, so I'm a double biblical. That was on purpose. Wow. As I was just as part of a protest outside of a church about two weeks ago, of a church that was preaching the eradicating of queer people. What I would love to be taken back to them, and for people of faith to know and to understand, is that there is a blessing in everybody that you see here, and there is a blessing in queer people and in cultures and religions all over the world. For thousands of years, we were a blessing to community because of how we make people stretch and our ability to understand one another and be able to love one another. And it was only recently that was condemned. Us being outside of these binaries have been a beautiful thing, and those were the, it's such a loaded question. I want them to understand that our life breeds blessings into this world that theirs can't. And that all of it is necessary. And so in my life, I'm looking at a human that I came into their life in school, and of them being able to be seen and help them still be here and feel encouraged, and they are doing amazing things in the community because of just seeing someone that they could identify, to know that at the base level they are not wrong and that they are right, and having these conversations makes everybody better. And I wish that they knew that. That I can put on my lashes. I've dedicated my entire life to children and to uplifting people, and because if I want to dress in this doesn't make me a danger, and it doesn't lessen my work in this world. I'm touching the people that need to be touched, and making them stretch because they're able to, I'm improving their humanity because they have addressed their hate, and understanding that that is an incredibly prideful, condescending thing to preach tolerance, because you have to feel entitled that you are at a place that you have the right to allow someone else to live. And I wish that they could see that is not their right, and that they would be better if they address that, because we're all trying to just be better.
Beautiful.
I agree with Isaiah. I feel that when I was growing up in the church, it was always strange to me that, like you said, that people would use that verbiage, tolerate, because who are we to say what God allows and doesn't allow and question? As believers, we believe that God is. So who are we to question what He's created? And that's always been very confusing for me, even growing up and having been told that it was wrong to be gay all the time. I always felt in my spirit that who are you to say what's right or wrong if you're not God? If we believe that God is all-knowing and He created everything, who are we to question what He created? And it is a kind of a hoity thing to say. So I sometimes challenge other believers to not to see themselves as God. You don't have the right, if you truly believe, you don't have the right to tell someone else who God created them to be. And we do have a blessing, and we do have a story to tell, a very unique experience in the world that's a benefit and a blessing to the people around us, the way we take care of each other, the way we fight for those that are, marginalized. That comes from our struggle. And if you discount that, you're not learning and you're not growing. And we do stretch people in their comfort levels. And that is spiritual growth. And to me, it cuts off your spiritual growth to cut off a whole people that God created. You're cutting off your own growth. You don't know what you could be missing that you could glean from us by cutting us off that way. So I would just challenge people to think of it that way. You don't have the right. If you truly believe, you don't really have the right to say that it's wrong. So.
Another thing that you could take back to them is flip it on them. What am I supposed to do? I was called.
Period.
We all are given gifts. God gave every one of us in this room a gift.
I'm walking through mine right now.
Come on here. A testimony, a testimony, a testimony. We are here. My testimony, I could have not been here. I'm here by the grace of God. I have a relationship with Him. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to turn my back on Him? Am I supposed to give up? Are you going to minister to that person? Are you going to get to know that person?
You better preach.
Are you going to pray for that person? Are you going to wrap your arms around that person and tell them that you love them? Because that's the first commandment, is to love. You can tell them that, and then you can tell them to call me, and I'll let them know what's up.
Well, I don't know that they should call Kourtni, but I think it's good. It's good. Thank you for your question, and thank you all. So we have time for one more question, and then we're going to move on to the second segment, which is performances, and we have some other business to tend to. I see a little hand raising up there. Oh, I saw two hands. Okay, so, okay. I said one more question, but I'm going to let you both do. So first you in the front. There you go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Lawanda, Isaiah, Kourtni, Epiphany, I see you four. My question for you, what I see on the stage is an evolution of wisdom, generations past. And one of my questions for you, many of the responses that you all have yielded are from those years of wisdom. If you may, and if you would, if you had to tell your 14-year-old or 15-year-old self something, what would you tell your 15-year-old, 16-year-old self?
I would tell myself, thank you for not giving up on yourself. Thank you for taking all those no's that you've been told, that you wouldn't make it, you weren't black enough, HIV was gonna kill you, all the struggles that was told at a young age, that I took all those no's and they hurt, they still do. But I'm standing and living proof because I told myself that I was gonna take a no and make it a yes.
I too am able to, and I'm so proud to be able to wow, this is good, y'all. I'm so proud to be able to say to my 14-year-old self, you're doing a good job. I came out to my friends at 12. I came out to my family and to the school and everything else at 14. And part of what got me to be able to do that young was that my life was way too hard. And I had too much trauma that I was fighting through. It was a battle every single day to live. And I was putting so much effort into trying to make myself more digestible so that people might love me, might care for me, and that in the end that power was still in their hands and I never had any control over it in the first place. And so I stopped putting my energy into changing other people's perception of me then. And that's when I started wearing whatever I was going to wear, completely shy, introverted, horrible, stuttering problem. I couldn't even speak in front of people. Again, the testimony is really deep, but I just stopped, I stopped apologizing for living, and the saying that came to me when I was 14 that I wrote down was, life's a lot more fun when you stop waiting for other people's permission to live it. And in 6th grade, I wrote, I think it's Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21, verse 29. Thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the word, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the left hand and when ye turn to the right. I wrote that down in 6th grade and put it on my desk because I felt that that was something telling me that I would always know the right way to go and to listen to that. So at 14, I already had that.
You're just speaking to my spirit, just so hard. So thank you for that. I would tell myself to, and I'm going to quote the Bible as well: walk by faith, not by sight. And that's something I'm still learning now. That I feel like had I was able to tell my young self that, I would be a lot farther on. But I tend to not have the faith in myself, my own gifts, my own voice, the things that I bring to the table, the uniqueness that I have, and I tend to bury that under what other people's expectations of me are. And it's taken a lot of time and a lot of years to combat that. So I wish I would have, I heard my mom walk around the house and say it all the time, walk by faith, not by sight. And we were always talking about our relationship with God and, reading the word and praying and walking by that faith of believing. But it also goes to our own lives as well. We have to walk by the faith in who we are and not by what we can see or what we think we can see other people are looking at us as, and what we think people are seeing in us. We have to walk by the faith that we have in our own self. And, I'm still working on that, but that's definitely something I wish I would have told myself as a kid.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. That's what I would tell my 14-year-old self. And also that you're gonna make it, endure until the end. And God did not make a mistake when he made it.
Kourtni. And then one more person, I think, had their hand up. Did you change your mind? All right.
Don't change your mind, ask the question.
You're awesome, I love you.
Yeah, maybe y'all might have already answered it. So,
there's one right there.
Oh, did I see it?
Go ahead, AJ.
I wanted to ask Epiphany a question. I know you said that you got into drag, when around the time you came out, and I'm just so curious what that experience was and what that journey is like, because I feel like, coming out can feel very exposing, and then so to go into like performance, it just sounds like how was that? How did you deal with like performing as who you are, and then I don't know what it's like to perform drag, and if it doesn't go well, or like if it does go well, just if you could talk more about that.
I came out, I was a mom. I had just became a mom. My son was about 2.5 years old when I came out, and it in my situation, meeting the people in the court system in Vancouver and meeting the drag queens was what kind of helped pull me out. I always knew that I was gay or queer, but growing up in the church, I never felt like it was possible for me to live as that. And seeing drag queens live so loudly and so proudly on who they were. One of the first drag queens I ever saw was Adrienne Alexander at Empress Avenue, she made fun of me sitting right in the front row. And it was just so bold, and she was just like using all this like foul language and stuff. And I called it foul language back then because I had just, stepped a toe out of the church and, so I was just like, look at this like lady just using this foul language and calling me names. This is so fun. Like, it was so bold, and I think that's from my own journey, that helped me. It helped push me out, and it gave me a persona that I could put on that helped with the uncomfortableness of walking in my queerness. It was very uncomfortable in the beginning, and it was especially raising a child. And wanting to do right by him, but also wanting to live authentically. Putting on Epiphany helped me do that. And it helped me be a better mom too, because my son could see me for who I really was. And it's created such an accepting human being. He's amazing. And I thank God for him every day. My experience with that was, drag definitely was the reason why my transition into my full queerness was a little bit easier. I definitely owe that to it. So I hope that answers your question.
That is so fantastic. And of all the folks on the panel, you're the one that I know the least, but I've learned so much about you today. You're just such a beautiful, wonderful person. And all four of you, thank you so much. Can we get a nice round of applause for our panel? And now we're going to take the ever so slightest break while our panel changes and prepares for their performances. We also have special guests standing right here in their beautiful matching outfits. We have Rose from the Imperial Summit Rose Court, Rose Emperor 45 and Rose Emperor 63. Arcadian Campbell Star and Takara Campbell Star, they will be joining the performance portion of our presentation. So we'd like to thank you all so much, and we'll be back. We'll be back.